Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 165 of the Nope Coach podcast. Why is it so hard to ask for what you want? I'm your host, Suzanne Kohlberg, and I am ever thankful for my Blue Yeti microphone as I record this because the neighbors on one side are whippersnippering. If you're overseas, I have learnt that you guys call it weed whacking. When I heard the term weed whacker, I was like, what is that? And someone sent me a photo. I was like, oh, we call that a whippersnipper. So on one side, they're whippersnippering. On the other side, they're mowing, and I can barely hear myself think, but there's school pickup shortly, so this is how we roll. Today's topic was inspired by a group call I was on last night in Tad Hargrave's Marketing for Hippies membership. So if you're in business, shameless plug, I'm not affiliated, but I highly recommend Tad Hargrave's membership. Go and check it out. His website's marketingforhippies.com. And he runs his membership by semesters. So the current semester that we're doing is what's called Hub Marketing. So if you want to check it out, all the details, Tad's got heaps of free videos, but, in essence, Hubs is, leads, referrals, warm marketing, niche mates, competitors, clients, people you've worked with, referring you to others. That's a very poor description of it. Tad does it much better. But anywho, we had a task and then we had breakout rooms and then we had like an open group discussion. So the calls are really well facilitated. And when we were speaking about referrals, the general consensus in the group was a discomfort with asking. And this isn't just, you might be listening to this. I know a lot of my listeners aren't in business and be like, where in your life do you struggle to ask for what you want? And this is something that is no longer a struggle for me, but every master was once a disaster. And I remember growing up, my parents conditioned, trained, taught us, children should be seen and not heard. Don't be a burden. Don't be disruptive. Don't ask for anything. So I remember this distinctly. One day, my mother had gone back to work and she dropped me somewhere to be babysat. And I left my water bottle in the car. I didn't bring it in. And when my mum came to pick me up after her shift, she was chatting to the babysitter and I was like bolting for the door, like, let's go. And she's like, settle, Suze, settle. What is it? And I'm like, oh, I'm so thirsty. I left my water bottle in the car. And I remember the babysitter being mortified. She's like, I am so sorry. Why didn't you ask? And I was like, oh, we don't ask for things. It was like a badge of honor in my family growing up, don't ask for anything. And I think so many of us carry that going forward. We don't even think to question it. Yet if anybody needs anything, we're the first one to volunteer. We're the first one to be like, yeah, sure, I'll help you move house. I'll bake cookies for the kids' sale. I'll sponsor them in the walkathon. I will, so on and so forth. So my question, I've got a couple of questions. Firstly, is that you? You would never dare ask for anything, but you'd be the first one to volunteer. And if so, why don't you ask for anything? And what the consensus people were chatting about last night, I don't want to be a burden, or I don't want to be too much, or I don't want to be pushy. So if you don't ask for anything because you don't want to be a burden, yet you're the first one to offer to help, or if someone asks you, you drop everything, what does that say? What do you subconsciously think about the people that you're helping? Are they a burden to you? When I first had that realization, it felt like I've been slapped in the side of the face with a brick. I was like, I can't ask for anything because I don't want to be a burden, but I'm the first one to drop everything and help others. What kind of mixed messages, signal bullshit is that? So, why is it so hard to ask? Part of it could be that burden thing. And then if that's the case, do you feel a burden when you're volunteering to help people, or do you enjoy being of service? Is it a relief if someone's like, hey, I need help with this, and you're like, yeah, sure. What do you get out of giving to others? And why do you deny that pleasurable feeling for people who would probably freely give to you? The second part is it like a rejection sensitivity? If I ask for something and they say no, I make that mean something about me. because that's a whole other story. If you ask for something, like, I honestly think that a clear, clean no is so much better than a maybe or later. When I was growing up, my mother's dad, so my grandfather, we actually called him Uncle because it's a whole story, but he just wanted to be called Frank, which was his first name. He didn't want to be called Pop or Grandpa or whatever. And my mum's like, you can't have that. So we called him Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank lived interstate and we lived in Tasmania. So once a year or so, he'd come down, stay for a few weeks with the family. And I remember he used to play card games with me. I'm an avid card game player. I'm a card shark. I love it. And at the end of the round of the game, I was like, would you play again? And he'd be like, oh, I'll think about it. And a couple of hours later, Uncle Frank, can we play cards? I'm still thinking. The next day, can we play another round of cards? I'm still thinking. And it just kind of became a family joke that, I'm still thinking. But what I wired that as a young child, my nervous system, not now or maybe means never. And I think for me, part of my difficulty in asking is, that rejection sensitivity, that being turned down, that being, I didn't want to impose. So it's just thinking about, because if you ask someone, hey, can you help me with this? And they say no, like a clean no, then you have the freedom to ask somebody else. You're not pinning your hopes and dreams and things on this one person. So this podcast, it's a daily show. I love it. Day 165. I currently have, I think it's 60 something, what do you call them? Testimonials, reviews, podcast reviews. Thank you to each and every one of you who've left me a review. I so appreciate it. How do you get so many reviews? You ask for them. I ask often on these shows or in my emails, if you haven't already done so, could you please leave me a review? If people don't, no shame or shade, that's okay. Or maybe it honestly is and not right now. You're busy or you focus on other things, but you can keep asking. You can ask again. Another thing, I'm going to do another ask on this episode. I'm going to model asking for what you want. I would really love it if you could share your favorite episode on social media. Doubly love it if you could tag me on Suzanne Kohlberg on Instagram and on Facebook, but the tag is an optional extra. But I would really love it to share your favorite episode, because I'm a small business. I don't have an advertising budget. It's me, my microphone, my noisy neighbors, and my laptop. And, to be able to reach new people and, find people who benefit from the message and who enjoy the show, it's a lot of work. I'd rather focus on just recording these shows each daily. So every time that you share an episode, you might think, it's not that big of a deal. And often you might think, oh, she already has so many reviews or so many other people share. It means so much to me as a creator whenever anyone shares an episode, writes a review, gives me a compliment. I appreciate the personal ones. Like, I love the emails, but I love it even more so if you share publicly, because then it's potential that new people who the message resonates with can be reached by it. So even if you think, oh, well, she's already had so many shares, what would my share do? It would mean so much, because we all know what it's like to be, chugging away at something, and to have those moments of, recognition and appreciation go so far. So if you enjoy this show, I'd love for you to share your favorite episode. If you listen regularly, I'd love for you to share regularly. I can just imagine, like, oh, she's sharing that Nope Coach bizzo again. Imagine if the Nope Coach spam competed with like pet spam and baby spam. It's like, oh, it's that Suzanne woman again. But seriously, it means so much. Like, we are often so fast to share a trailer from Netflix or to share, something from Paramount or Amazon, which has millions of dollars of ad spend, and it's so carefully curated, and they don't even notice. Like, the people with that many followers don't even notice. But when you're at the size of business, a small business, you notice and you appreciate, and it totally makes your day. So that being said, shameless plug aside, what is it that you really desire that you would like help with? It could be something so small about housework or pegging out the washing or helping the kids with their homework or gardening, or, or it could be a tech issue how to program your television. It could be if you're in business, there's no end of things that you could ask for if you're in business. And who could you ask? Like choosing your audience, choosing who to ask is a whole other thing. And how to ask, maybe I'm going to end up having a whole series of these episodes. Because the thing is, for me personally, a genuine ask, hi, Suzanne, how are you going? I can always tell a genuine one if someone says something about the shirt I wore today. I have Houston. I have so many problems. I think I've shared this one before, but here you go for those on YouTube. I loved your recent episode about whatever it is, like, that shows that level of connection. And then the ask. I was wondering if you're available for, or I see that you use, or would you be open to, or whatever it is that you want help with. Then acknowledgement, thank you for your time, or thank you for your consideration, or, thank you for reading this, whether or not you help, love your work, whatever it is, and then you farewell. Because so often requests, when we're nervous about asking for help, and then we kind of just railroad the person, or we write something and we copy paste it and spam it to like 50 people. I can tell when something is a genuine, I was thinking about you, and hey, name, or dear sir, madam, love your work, could you blah, or a presumptive thing. Like I remember once somebody messaged me and was like, I'm coming to Sydney, so when can we have a time to catch up? I was thinking, I don't know you from Adam. So it's not just, why is it hard to ask, but sometimes it's how you frame your ask. And I may end up doing another episode if people are interested. But like a genuine connection, a genuine outreach, a genuine how are you going, and acknowledgement of, thank you for taking the time to read this, goes so much further than a presumptuous or just a copy paste that you've spammed to 50 other people. So anyway, bottom line, takeaway, when you notice it's really hard for you to ask for something, just ask yourself, how would it feel to be the receiving end? Like if you're like, I drop everything, I'm the first to help. Why do you think other people might be burdened by you approaching them? And the second part is it some conditioning? Is it from growing up where children should be seen or not heard, or don't be needy, or all this sort of thing? And, that's something that you can work through. And also, is it a rejection sensitivity? Because if you're pinning your hopes and dreams on this one person saying yes, that's where the work needs to be done. Because, if they say no, you can always ask someone else, or you could always also ask, is this like a no, not ever, or a no, not for now? Can I reach out again in a couple of months? Because sometimes, it's not us being rejected, is the person is genuinely busy or genuinely has a lot on their plate and they're at capacity right now. So it's a not right now, not a no forever. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for listening. Catch you on the next one. Bye for now.